us harmonize together and make the most joyful music and sound you could ever hear. You may wonder, what is this guy talking about? This is a Magic Gathering trainer. We're not talking about music. Well, welcome to Dragonstorm Mechanics, and today we're talking about the Temur, or however you want to say it. Temur is what I'm going to say, ability called Harmonize. And this is an amazing and really fun ability, and it's great, and it basically lets you get to reuse the card if you cast it once. It's like a flashback, but even better than flashback. So it allows you to use the card from your graveyard. So how Harmonize works is you have the original ability. So when it works, you can cast a normal spell. But then from your graveyard, your Harmonize ability says, you may cast this card from your graveyard for its Harmonize cost. So the one I'm looking at, Roamer's Routine, Harmonize 4 and a green. And basically how that works is you may cast it for 4 and a green, or it may be cheaper, you may tap a creature you control to reduce the cost by X. Where is the creature's power? Then exile this spell. So if you have a power toughness 4 creature with this Roamer's Routine, you can cast it for 1 green mana. That is the really cool part about this thing, is you can cast these spells from your graveyard for the Harmonize cost, tapping your creature. So if you, and Temur has lots of green or big creatures, so it wants to be able to cast the stuff. And so it's great. And it allows you to cast card from graveyard, which is cool, so because it can overlap some other ways. It is in Temur, which has lots of big stompy creatures usually. And if you cast this way, you can tap it. The cost reduction applies only to generic mana. It cannot tap it for the green or the blue or the black or whatever. It still is only going to reduce it all the way down to whatever it is. So if you had like a 15 toughness, so there are some Harmonize that I think maybe has X in it, which you still have to pay the mana. I know there's one that has an X, but you could tap like the biggest creature you have, and X is going to be this. But you still have to pay the colored mana cost on it as well. And so this is a really good ability, because here's the thing. That means you get 2 uses of a spell. And a lot of times, so here's the cool thing. So like the one I talked about, it lets you go search for your library, for basic library, put it on, or go get a card, put it on the battlefield, and then you can, it goes in the graveyard. Well, guess what? So if that's a 3 mana on turn 3, this is you cast it on turn 3. On turn 4, if you cast a 4 mana creature, let's say you have 3 mana and you cast a 4 mana creature of 1 green available. It's a 4 mana. You could tap it and recast it again, go to another no land from your library. This is what's really good about it. If you got those big creatures, you can cast the spell again. Also, it's really cool too, because at the time, if you're like, well, this spell isn't as good, or I could use it later, you can discard it. If people are playing you in discard, you discard it, and then from the graveyard, you can then recast it and do its ability. It's a fun, awesome little set, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see and use, especially with all the big stompy things that Temur does. And I like it. What are your thoughts on this Harmonize? Do you think it's a good ability? Do you think it's not? Again, the card is being cast. For its Harmonize cost, you may cast, so it can be countered if it's something that you're like, oh, that needs to be countered. You can counter it. Also, anything that says cards can't, if it's, you can only play cards or cards can't be cast unless they've been cast from your hand. This shuts those off. So just to keep that in mind when you're playing certain decks, certain things. But this is still a really good card. Let me know in the comments below what decks you're going to run this in and how you're going to use the Harmonize effect. And as always, we'll see you next time.